Welcome, Chris and Vera. You are former clients of New Zealand Shores. Thank you very much for making the time today to share your experience with us. I would first like to ask you questions now that you've been here for a few years. Why did you choose New Zealand in the first place?
Yeah, well, the story cut short is half of my family lives in the US and the others are scattered around the globe. So living abroad was always something that we enjoyed. And before moving to New Zealand, I was based for almost 10 years in Switzerland. And Vera?
I was based in Dubai for a couple of years. And actually, that was my first introduction to New Zealand, I would say. The business got me to New Zealand, to Auckland, and I traveled around. And actually, that's when, for the first time, I fell in love with New Zealand. And since then, there was always the dream to make it here. So, yeah.
Amazing. So when you eventually decided to make the move and get the process started, why did you decide to engage in the service of an immigration agency as opposed to doing it all yourselves?
Now, I would say that happened actually within the first couple of days when we made the decision. And the thought process was actually fairly simple. And I think that our case proves us right. It also adds credibility because you really have the challenge of the catch-22. In order to get the work visa, you need an employment agreement. And to get an employment agreement, you need the visa. And what I've seen throughout the interviews that I had with a few of the companies, they really have seen as soon as there's an immigration advisor behind, then they know you are really serious. Because everyone, these days can go online, submit the CV and apply. And the companies simply want to have reassurance that you are serious about it. And the other element in our case is we were also looking forward to basically establish a business, which we eventually did. So New Zealand Shores was also helpful in terms of finding out maybe there's an entrepreneur visa. Vera wanted to finish her studies.
I wanted to do the studies, and I would say from a practical point of view, it was really helpful because the move itself is super hectic.
Yes.
That's, I would say, once somebody is there to give you a hand with all the documents and paperwork and simply assistance, then it's simply the way we did it, and I would not have it other way.
That's right. I recall you explored many different opportunities. So I guess in that respect, having a one-stop shop or, just one person you can bounce ideas around would have been helpful in your case, particularly.
I would go even so far that I say you were really fundamental because the idea to establish what is today the man estate was already back then something that we envisioned, and you actually helped us to point us into the right direction, how to obtain the visa and then actually make the dream come true.
That's great to hear. So I'll come back to your current situation a bit later. We'll go back to how you started. So you started with securing employment in New Zealand, Chris. How did you find the job search stage, and how did you find the New Zealand workplace on arrival? First impressions.
I mean, it really depends on the timing. And I think in our case, right after COVID, the job market was very eager for talented people. Now we face a little bit more challenging situation in New Zealand. But at the end of the day, New Zealand businesses, and I've seen it with my first employer and also now with my new challenge, we are looking basically for people with expertise and skill sets which are not so widely available. There's simply a smaller pool of people here in New Zealand. So someone should be really just, I would even say, stubborn and patient and apply and apply and apply. And eventually, with the first interviews, you also find out what Kiwi companies are looking for, not only in terms of expertise and skill, but also personal traits, because Kiwi companies in general definitely operate differently to European and American companies.
Okay, that's an interesting point. So how different would you say maybe the hierarchy and the workplace relationships with colleagues? I'm not talking about the work specifically, but the intersocial relationships and working with your boss and working with your colleagues. How different is it from Europe or the US?
We did actually intensive research while we were making the decision to move here. And what I enjoy is really in a company to what I call wearing different hats. So in a New Zealand company in general, you have to be more flexible So it's not just the tasks that you might be assigned to from the very beginning. It's usually smaller teams. And while I would not say that everyone is doing everything, but you should be really willing also to help and bring in your expertise in other areas, which I find extremely interesting because you also learn something. You're really engaged with the teams in a, let's say it's more integrated, more flexible. And that's actually something that I enjoy to work with. Whereas if you might be a little bit more structured, then you will definitely need more time to adapt.
Really good points there. Did you want to add anything?
Not really. So as of today, it's like I did my study, so I have the comparison of how the system works back in Europe, for example.
For education?
Yep. Yeah, for education. I just wanted to say that New Zealand just took care of, I would say, all the enrollment. So for me, that was like very comfortable because I hardly had to do something. All the communication was from New Zealanders and directly with the university. So that was actually very, very cool benefit of that. And then also the setting, like Waikato University specifically, was very welcoming and friendly. And I had the feeling I made the most of it, like coming in contact with the professors and with the teachers. So I really enjoyed my studies there, yeah.
Yeah, we do get that feedback a lot from students that lecturers and professors are a lot more approachable,
Definitely. If I compare it with my studies back in Europe, then it was more hand-on and also more direct. And, anytime I had some questions or I wanted to explore more, I always got the feedback and also advice. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So for both of you, New Zealand was a dream, as I guess it is for every migrant moving here, right? Including myself. What were your first impressions on arrival? Anything good or bad?
Yeah, so what I mean, it's not as interesting, but what stands out to me is like the greenery, the green grass.
Yep.
The first time I landed, I was like, wow, that's like paradise. So for me, that's like the moment that stayed in my head. So not that important, for other migrants, but it's simply, yeah. If
No, I can relate. Even flying over Auckland or Christchurch on arrival, it's depending on the season, it's green everywhere, isn't it?
That's the wow factor, and I would say we like to always travel a lot. And since we came to New Zealand, I think we settled a bit because there's so many beautiful, natural spots to explore that I don't have such an urge to go somewhere exotic or travel far. Because New Zealand has so much to offer. So for me, it's definitely the nature. And then on the other place, I would say it's simply friendly people, very welcoming, the community life, everything. I mean, it's not visible on the first hand, but when you come and, you communicate with the people, you talk to them, they are very open. Yeah. Very friendly. Yeah. So it was super easy to make it feel like home here. Yeah.
That's also what I would have said. It's simply the people are so approachable. So you meet people along the street and you're just walking and they start talking with you on the beach. And it's like really genuine, honest conversations that you have and people are exchanging. There's definitely a curiosity on the side of New Zealanders why people come to their country, but it never feels like one way. So you really exchange and it's like, I would not call it like talking with friends, but like really like already neighbors and very welcoming. So that's very refreshing. And we lived in different countries where people might be a little bit reserved. But here in New Zealand, if we would have known how quickly we would make friends locally and of course in the community, so that would have helped a lot to take away the anxiety that we had.
The small things like we did not know before, back from our countries, like the small talks and it's completely different, I would say, style of living, and we love it.
Yeah, I mean that really connects with the famous Maori saying that says, "What is the most important thing in the world? It's the people, the people, the people." And that's really, I mean, people are attracted to New Zealand perhaps through the landscapes and the scenery, but it is the people that make people stay here, that make migrants, grow roots in New Zealand for sure.
What?
And yeah, sorry, you adapt as well, quickly. If you are surrounded by friendly people, you are also, I would say, more friendly. Even if you don't like to interact that much with people, it simply changes you. So I can say, I believe I'm definitely a better person than I used to be. But yeah, it's even more relaxed and I would say happier life.
We experienced that people are way more open and tolerant for other people living their life. everyone has a different approach. So here's definitely lots of people that we would never had contact with, let's say in Europe.
Yeah.
But live and let live. And that's really actually nice that you have exchanges with people who have a different mindset.
Yes.
New Zealand definitely is a place that allows that to happen. So nobody is judging the other. And very often you would talk with someone, we have the homestay and we have guests, we have basically a nice place. But once in a while we would have guests, and then you find out they actually run a multi-billion-dollar company, but you would never thought about it when you meet them in person, casually dressed and not trying to show off. And I think that's really where New Zealand is unbelievable and a great place to be.
Have you had to make any particular adjustments to really settle here? Or surely it can't have been 100% seamless. It's a big move.
Well, adjustments, I cannot say sure you have to adapt to, the local habits and traditions. But for me, I would say the biggest adjustment is simply the seasons are swapped kind of.
Yes.
So me wanting to have, a real pumpkin for Halloween, that's not the way. Not here in New Zealand.
Wrong time of the season.
So adjustment, sure, always if I try to reach my family, with the time difference and stuff. And then, as I say, everyone is so friendly. So even when we came, we also kind of try to be more reserved. So you also have to go out of your way and try to, change yourself. But I would not say it was some, big issue for us. It's actually very pleasant and very nice change, and I'm happy for them. So
what helped us is, we had basically 2 years because of COVID until we could come here. So that gave us also time to get a better understanding of the country. Yes. And I think that's definitely something that I would advise people. We were fortunate that we had been in New Zealand before. Even so, when you travel the country as a tourist, you have a complete different lens. And if I would have to find out something, then it would be only the heavy mattresses, because try to move a Kiwi mattress. So I don't know why they are so heavy, but that's basically the springs, I guess. So jokes set aside. So we really integrated very quickly. We know that some people would miss certain products, but honestly, we find everything at the supermarket if we need something. And if it would be really happening that you need something from abroad, these days with online,
you can get it in.
Usually goods come even from other continents within a couple of days. I think there's definitely remoter areas. We live fairly close, 1 hour to Hamilton, 1 hour to Tauranga. Auckland is not that far. So, but actually we get everything we need within 5 minutes.
Yeah. At this point, I don't have the feeling I miss something besides maybe friends, and family. For that, you have the technology, so you can do the Skype calls.
Have the children adjusted to Christmas summer? Because that's
so the thing is these two, they were super young when we came, so I think they will not
have
all memory of what was before. And ice block during Christmas, anytime, any day. They would not change it.
Christmas in summer still seems strange to us. But, it happens that we also have a small Christmas tree farm. So it's also nice to be exposed how Kiwis celebrate Christmas and welcome people here during that time of the year. Yeah. But it's for us, it has been really a very smooth transition. And what helped us a lot is we both wanted to come here. I think if you're in a partnership, and you should be really aligned.
Yes, of course.
We have seen other migrants that might return, but that's usually the case that one of the two does not want to be here in New Zealand, might miss family back home. Yeah. But if you make the decision as a family to move here, and also my grown-up children, Katie, she was here with us for 1 year. She was working down at Waihi Beach and also enjoyed it, and they will definitely come back. So, for us, it has been a good journey.
Is there anything you would have done differently in hindsight? Reflecting back on, your journey, is there anything that you'll think, maybe this would have been easier that way, or I wish I'd done that instead?
Yeah, maybe move here earlier.
No, I think again, we came with a plan. The only thing that I find challenging, and that's something you have to find a solution then, is housing. So housing can be tricky.
In what respect?
Yeah, I think in two regards. The one is to find a home. We were able to secure actually a house back in Cambridge, even while we were still abroad. So the general manager of the company was so kind and basically went there for viewing and helped with the documentation. So we were basically lucky.
Which helped a lot because
Yes.
we could move kind of straight in.
Yeah.
Whereas if you land, then you have the hassle of looking for apartment or house. Then
Yes.
So, but there's also initially we had secured the Airbnb for a couple of months. We did not have to make use of it to the full extent. And the other element is simply housing in New Zealand is definitely more expensive than in other countries. So that can, for some families, be up to 50% of their household income. So that's definitely something that people should look into when they do their budget planning.
Yeah, I guess there's some regional variations. It depends how much you earn, where you work, what the commute might look like as well. It's interesting what you mentioned about your employer supporting you when you arrive. This is actually a formal requirement now for employers to provide guidance on migrant settlement. So it's good that your employer was already doing this as a gesture of goodwill, but it's now actually a requirement for migrants to facilitate settlement.
No, my employer really was very forthcoming and they supported us, on an ongoing base. And even when I wanted to make then another move, they were very understandable and supported this as well. So now I could not highly speak enough about their support and also like helping us to fit in. So that was really great. And so far, what I know from other migrants, it's the same with other companies. So they really like to have also other people from other countries come here, bring in their experience. So really very welcoming.
Great. And so fast forward, a couple of years after you arrived here, you became residents. So as resident visa holders, you're not really tied to any employer or anything like this. So you can, if you wish to do so, start your own business, which is what you guys decided to do. So tell me about your venture here, your man estate.
I mean, first I would say I felt never tied to the company, that's something that I never felt there, that they would, let's say, take advantage of that situation, not so ever. And maybe also to interject, when you come to New Zealand, in terms of your career progression, you might have to step down a few steps on the ladder. But even my first employer really helped me to catch up very quickly. And I think that's also just fair that they have a look, basically, how you are doing. Now, and basically 2 years in being here in New Zealand, we were able to basically move to Waihi, where we are based now. And it was always our dream to establish a small farm business so that Vera can work from home.
And it was amazing because during my studies, I could also establish a business plan and it was really set for our, goal and future. So that helped a lot. And it's, how we made it work.
And now we are called the Man Estate. So we run a small lavender farm.
Yep.
And we always joke that we are not successful because we said we want to have only 10 products. And now we have already 30 plus products.
Yeah.
We are attending local farmers markets and also started selling online. And it's really nice because just this weekend we sold out in many categories and have returning customers leaving nice comments.
And we have also homestay as a part of the business and that's successful as well. So we enjoy it, welcome also other travelers or people traveling for New Zealand and it's
Oh, you're in a beautiful part of the country. It's the south of Coromandel in the Waikato region, just by the Pacific Ocean. It's one of my favorite spots.
It's the middle of winter and it's July the 10th, basically, so that I bring up now a date and we already had 30 nights booked. So we basically hit the sweet spot.
We are more busy than we expected, but
But what I want to add is really, and that's also where New Zealand is a great place to start the business. I could not imagine a more straightforward, simple process of starting a business. And we found actually also the administration quite helpful. I mean, in our case, we looked up in which zone we are going to buy a property, what are the regulations, what we are allowed to do. So basically, we could start our business according to those rules. And even when we have the council authorities coming here, they are really supportive. So, and also including with the banks and everything. So
everyone is really helpful and, trying to make things happen and not, throwing you rocks under your feet, but rather, giving you the hand and pointing you, sharing contacts, which one you could use, and really, really helpful. So
it's not bearing you under a ton of paperwork or anything like that. It's reasonably straightforward.
It's definitely enjoyable, yeah.
Okay, great. You mentioned the children were very young when you moved, but was there much of an adjustment period for them at all?
I don't think so. I think that the kids are quite easy, they adjust super quickly. That's what we as a parents tend to think, that they might struggle, but it's actually rather us than them. They take it, and like as I said, New Zealand is super beautiful. So we did lots of outdoors hikes, walks, and the kids are just happy. That's like one big playground for them.
Speaking about them, what I also argue is New Zealand is really an amazing place to raise children. But I would really argue, especially for families. I mean, we did not come because of the kids. We know there's lots of migrants who make the decision.
That's right.
In the name of their children. So that was for us not the driver. And we are very open. We have a college here, so we hope the kids stay here until they finish education. But, then they should also make their experience, see the world. And whether they stay here or not, that's then their decision.
Yep.
And I'm also very grateful to you guys at New Zealand Shore that we could secure for my grown-up children in the process also their permanent resident visas. So that's actually nice, so that no one is left behind. And so that's really cool. But... Great place.
That's right. The family settings for visas are quite generous compared to other countries. So it's great that for families such as yours, perhaps children from previous relationships, it is possible to include those family members in your application. So yeah, I'm glad things turned out so well for you.
That is. And if there's only one advice that I would give to potential migrants, they should really come with a plan, what they want to achieve here, not necessarily where they want to base themselves, because we were also super flexible.
Plan A, plan B.
Yeah. But be open-minded, but know where you want to go. And then New Zealand is really a fantastic place to settle as a family.
Not to think only like short-term, but also long-term, because I think that's important, yeah.
Having a plan, knowing where you want to land, what's your plan B as well. No, I perfectly align with those recommendations.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, both. I'll let you go now. And we keep in touch, eh? Thanks again.
Appreciate. Take care. Bye.